Mrs. Bean and her class were looking at some plans. They were going to build their own school garden.
Wow, it looks great,
said Asif.
Can we all help to build it?
Yes, said Mrs. Bean. But first of all, we have to raise money to pay for the garden. Let's brainstorm some ideas, said Mrs. Bean. She wrote fundraising ideas on the flip chart. Don't all shout at once, she warned. I want to put everyone's ideas on the chart. The children put up their hands. We could have a talent show, said Megan. Asif shook his head.
We did that last year,
he said. Mrs. Bean crossed it out.
We could have a sponsored car wash,
said Dama. No, we couldn't, shouted Amina. We all got wet last time we tried that. Mrs. Bean crossed it out.
How about a quiz?
Asked Asif. No way, I hate quizzes, said Megan. Mrs. Bean crossed that out as well. The children had lots of ideas and Mrs. Bean wrote them all down. But every idea got crossed out. Finally, Mrs. Bean put her pen down. Oh dear, she said, none of our ideas will work. She went and sat at her desk and stared at the ceiling. The children sat at their desks and stared at Mrs. Bean. Asif put his hand up.
What do you think we should do, Mrs. Bean?
Mrs. Bean thought and thought. I'm sorry, she said. I can't think of a single idea. She looked out at the playground. We'll never raise enough money to build our school garden if we don't have a good idea, she said. Asif looked at Mrs. Bean. He had never seen her looking sad before. Mrs. Bean was the best teacher in the whole school.
This isn't fair,
thought Asif.
Mrs. Bean shouldn't be sad. We have to think of a good idea.
That's enough of fundraising ideas, said Mrs. Bean. Get out your numeracy books. The class got out their books. Asif looked at the cover of his numeracy book. Suddenly, Asif shouted out,
Mrs. Bean, I've just had a great idea. We can use your name.
Mrs. Bean looked at Asif in surprise. My name, she said.
Yes,
said Asif.
We can use your name to help raise money. We can have a bean day.
The day for fundraising soon came. Everyone had worked very hard and they were very excited. There were lots of stalls. You could guess the number of beans, guess the weight of beans, throw bean bags and eat bean burgers. Lots of people came to the Bean Day.
Welcome to our Bean Day.
It was the best fundraising day ever. The class raised £549. What shall we buy for the garden? Asked Mrs. Bean. Asif grinned.
Beans, of course,
He said.
What was the plan? They were going to build their school garden.
One day, Tina and Rita found a dog. She was sitting at their door. Doggy, said Rita. Cool, said Tina. Shoo, said Mum. But the dog did not shoo. She ran into their house. She wants to be our dog, said Tina. Can we keep her? No, said Mum. She has her own family. Look at her tag. Her name is Scruff. Mum looked at the dog. I can see why she's called Scruff, she said. There was a phone number on the tag too. Mum phoned the number, but no one answered. So she left a message. Just then, their cat Ginger meowed. Scruff was eating Ginger's dinner. Bad dog, said Rita. She wants some food, said Tina. Mum put some food down for Scruff. There you go, you scruffy dog, she said. Ginger looked cross. Then Scruff got into Ginger's bed.
Meow,
Cried Ginger, looking even more cross. You bad little dog, said Mum. That bed belongs to Ginger. Later, Dad came home. He looked at Scruff.
Who is this scruffy dog?
He asked. It's Scruff, said Rita.
I can see that.
Said Dad. At dinner, Dad's food went missing.
Where's my food gone?
He asked. Scruff was eating it. You bad dog, said Tina. No one phoned back about Scruff. Tina was pleased, but Mum was not. She put a notice in the newspaper. If no one phones about Scruff, can I keep her? Tina asked Mum. No, said Mum. If no one phones, we'll take her to the animal shelter. Please, cried Tina. No, said Mum. We don't want a dog, not a scruffy bad one like Scruff.
Found. Little dog named Scruff. Please call 559876.
The next day, Scruff was very bad. She ran off with Dad's shoe. Later, the chicken for dinner went missing. Where can it be? Asked Mum. Scruff and Ginger were missing too. The family went to look for Scruff and Ginger. They found them in the garden. They found the chicken too.
You bad dog,
said Dad. And bad Ginger too, said Mum. Look, Tina said to Mum and Dad. Ginger likes Scruff now. The next day, Mum found a hole in the garden. Oh no, she cried. Dad looked down the hole.
What is that down there?
He asked. It's your shoe, said Tina.
You bad dog,
said Mum and Dad. Oh, Scruff, said Tina. Please try to be good so I can keep you. The next day, Scruff did try to be good. First, she chased a cat from the garden. But Mum was cross. You bad, scruffy dog, she cried. Scruff looked very sad. Just don't do it again, Scruff, said Mum. She gave Scruff a little pat. When Dad got home, Scruff ran up to him.
Get down, Scruff.
Dad cried.
Look, I'm all scruffy now.
So Scruff licked and licked Dad. She wanted to lick him clean. Tina and Rita laughed. Mum and Dad laughed too. See, Tina told Scruff, they like you now. I'm going to ask again if I can keep you. Tina went to see Mum and Dad, but they had bad news. Scruff's family had just phoned. Mum said, they want to take her home. Mum and Dad looked sad. Rita cried. Tina cried and cried and cried. The next day, Scruff's family came and took her home. I'm going to miss that dog, said Mum. Me too, said Rita.
Me too.
Meowed Ginger. Dad was reading the newspaper.
Look at this.
He said.
The animal shelter has lots of dogs that need good homes.
I don't want just any dog, said Tina. I want Scruff back.
Let's go and see anyway,
said Dad. The family went to the animal shelter. They looked at the dogs. The first dog looked like a very good dog. He was eating his dinner. The next dog was a very clean dog. She was sitting down. The last dog was a very scruffy dog. He was running round and round, chasing his tail.
We want that dog,
cried Tina and Rita and Mum and Dad.
Who named the dog? Tina and Rita. Mom. The dog's owner.
腿小萌，阅读陪伴，快乐成长。本期内容由海豚传媒。
Beth had a wobbly tooth. It had wobbled and wobbled for weeks. One day, Beth bit into a big red apple. Her wobbly tooth came out. "Wow," said Beth. "Now the tooth fairy will come, and I will get a coin." At bedtime, Beth put the tooth under her pillow and went to sleep. The next morning, Beth looked under her pillow. The tooth was gone, and in its place there was a shiny coin. "I've got a coin," said Beth. "The tooth fairy gave me a coin." "I want a coin too," said Tim. "Your teeth aren't wobbly yet," said Mum. All day, Tim pushed and pulled his teeth, but not one tooth was wobbly. Tim had an idea. He got out his modelling clay and made a toy tooth. "I'll put this under my pillow," he said. "Then the tooth fairy will come and give me a coin." "The tooth fairy only takes real teeth," said Beth. "She won't give you a coin for a toy tooth." "Yes, she will," said Tim. At bedtime, Tim put the toy tooth under his pillow. He went to sleep and dreamed about the tooth fairy. Beth couldn't sleep. She knew the tooth fairy wouldn't come and Tim would be upset in the morning. Beth went downstairs to see Mum. She told Mum about the toy tooth. "The tooth fairy won't come, will she, Mum?" said Beth. "Let's wait and see," said Mum. The next morning, Tim jumped on Beth's bed. "Beth, look, I got a coin. The tooth fairy did come," he said. "Let me see," said Beth. Beth looked at the coin. It wasn't a real coin. It was a toy coin. But she didn't tell Tim that. Tim ran to Mum. "Mum, Mum, I got a coin from the tooth fairy," he said. "I want to go to the shop now." "You can't go to the shop with that coin," said Mum. "You see, it's a toy coin. You gave the tooth fairy a toy tooth, so she gave you a toy coin." Tim looked sad. Then Beth had an idea. "You can come to my shop," she said. "What would you like to buy?" "I'd like a big red apple, please," said Tim, "to make my real tooth come out."
Where did Beth put the tooth at bedtime? In a big red apple. Under her pillow.
屯小萌阅读陪伴，快乐成长。本期内容由海豚传媒出品。
What's that noise? Ryan liked playing with his trains,
Look at all these trains.
cried Dad.
I'll clear them away.
Said Ryan. Then it's bedtime, said Mum. That night, Ryan had a dream. He dreamed that some men were digging a hole. The hole was so big that a giant white rabbit hopped out of it. The rabbit had big feet that banged on the ground. Bang, bang, bang. Ryan woke up. The giant white rabbit had gone. But something was still going bang, bang, bang.
Mum!
Shouted Ryan. The banging stopped.
Mum, what was all that banging?
Asked Ryan. It's nothing, said Mum. Go back to sleep,
But nothing is quiet.
thought Ryan. The next day, everything was quiet. Ryan came home from school and played with his trains. Then he had tea.
What was all that banging last night?
He asked Dad.
I don't know.
Said Dad.
Maybe it was the water pipes. They make banging noises sometimes.
That night, Ryan heard the banging again. He was glad it was just the water pipes. Bang, bang, bang went the water pipes. Bang, bang, ouch,
What was that?
thought Ryan. The next day, everything was quiet. Ryan came home from school and played with his trains. Then he had tea,
That banging came back last night.
said Ryan.
It went ouch. Well, it could have been a cat
Said Dad.
with a bad foot.
That night, the banging was worse than ever. Bang, bang, bang. Ryan couldn't sleep. Something terrible must be going on. Something so bad that no one could tell him what it was. The next day, everything was quiet. Ryan came home from school, but he was too tired to play with his trains.
I want to sleep down here tonight,
Said Ryan.
away from all the banging. It's all right.
Said Dad.
The banging won't come back, and I have something to show you. Come with me.
Ryan and Dad went up the ladder to the loft.
A train layout.
Said Ryan.
You've made me a train layout.
Ryan was so happy he jumped up and down. Bang, bang, bang went his feet on the hard floor. And he didn't mind a bit.
Bang, bang, bang.
What did Ryan usually do when he came home from school? He played with his trains. Then he had tea. He had tea. Then he played with his trains. He did his homework.
腿小萌阅
What are whales? Whales are the biggest animals in the sea. They look like fish, but they are not fish. Whales are mammals. Read this book to find out more about the amazing life of whales. There are two kinds of whales. These are toothed whales and baleen whales. Most whales are toothed whales. Whales. Toothed whales. Beluga whale. Dolphin. Killer whale. Pilot whale. Sperm whale. Baleen whales. Blue whale. Finback whale. Grey whale. Humpback whale. Right whale. A grey whale's two blowholes. All whales have a blowhole on top of their head. They breathe through the hole. The hole is open when the whales breathe. It is closed when the whales are under the water. Toothed whales have one blowhole. Baleen whales have two holes for breathing. Toothed whales have teeth. They use their teeth to catch small fish and other sea animals. Dolphins and beluga whales are toothed whales. A beluga whale. A grey whale. Baleen. Baleen whales do not have teeth. They have a baleen. A baleen looks like a comb. Right whales and grey whales are baleen whales. A whale's life. Like all mammals, whales give birth to live babies. A baby whale is called a calf. A female whale can have a calf every 1 to 3 years. A calf can swim as soon as it is born. It lives with its mother for a year or more. The calf needs to drink its mother's milk. A grey whale with her calf. Toothed whales eat fish and other sea animals. Baleen whales eat lots of tiny living things, such as small fish, shellfish, and sea animals. Some baleen whales can eat 40 million tiny sea animals in one day. A dolphin hunting. A right whale feeding. Most baleen whales swim with their mouth open. They let water and living things into their open mouth. Then they close their mouth and push the water out. They eat the living things trapped in their baleen. All whales move their tail up and down to swim under the water. They use their flippers to turn their body. Whales use their flippers and tail to stop, too. Humpback whales swimming. A pod of beluga whales. A group of whales that live together is called a pod. Baleen whales swim in small pods or alone. Toothed whales swim in larger pods. All whales make sounds under the water. They do this to talk to each other. Some whales sound as if they are singing. Blue whales sing the loudest. Their singing is louder than a jumbo jet. A whale's song being recorded. A dolphin with its catch. Toothed whales make sounds to find sea animals to eat. The sounds bounce off animals in the sea. Each sound comes back to the whale. It tells the whale where an animal is, how big it is, and how fast it is swimming. People try to help a whale stuck on a beach. In the past, people hunted whales for their meat, fat, and oil. Today, most whale hunting has been stopped, but some people still hunt whales. Other whales die because they get trapped in fishing nets, or because they get stuck on beaches. Amazing whales. The blue whale is the biggest whale. A blue whale can grow to be 30 meters long. That's as long as 3 buses. A blue whale near a boat. A dwarf sperm whale. The dwarf sperm whale is the smallest whale. A dwarf sperm whale grows under 3 meters long. That's as long as a small car. Killer whales and pilot whales are the fastest whales. They can swim up to 30 miles per hour. They swim fast when they are hunting food to eat. A pilot whale. A killer whale. The deadliest whale is the killer whale. Killer whales need to eat lots of food. They eat seals. Sometimes they even eat baby blue whales. Amazing whale facts. Blue whales blow air up to 6 meters high when they breathe. Each of a humpback whale's flippers can grow to be as long as a whole dolphin. Some whales have small sea animals living on their body. Sperm whales can dive down about 1,200 meters under the water. Some whales can live to be 90 years old. A dolphin can jump 6 meters above the water. A blue whale calf drinks about 500 liters of milk a day. Glossary. Baleen. The part of a baleen whale's mouth that looks like a comb and is used to catch food. Blowhole. The breathing hole of a whale. Calf. A baby whale. Flippers. Wide, flat body parts that whales use to swim. Mammals. Animals that are warm-blooded and have hair on their body that give birth to live babies and feed milk to them. Pod. A group of whales.
豚小萌阅
Granny Gadget loved to make machines.
This is my machine to do the housework.
She said.
I've got to make a new machine today.
Said Granny Gadget to her cat.
I've looked high and low, and near and far. I can't find your little kitten anywhere.
So she made a machine for finding lost pets. The machine had big ears to listen for pets. It had a big nose to sniff out pets. It had long legs to run after pets. It had long arms to reach out and grab pets.
Let's start it.
Said Ellie. Ben counted 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go! And off it went. It ran around the house, upstairs and downstairs. It found lost socks, lost sweets, lost toys, and lots of things that were not lost at all. But it didn't find the kitten.
Oh no!
Said Granny Gadget.
What a mess! And I still haven't found the kitten.
She went off to have a rest. Ben and Ellie got out Granny's housework machine. They read the instructions.
Pull string number 1.
Read Ellie. Ben pulled the string. The machine started to hum.
Push button number 2.
Read Ellie. Ben did that too. The machine grew and grew. When they pulled string number 3, it buzzed like a bee. When they pulled string number 4, the machine started to roar. But when they pulled string number 5, it really came alive. It jumped up and down and spun round and round. It washed the floor and dried the dishes. It dusted the books and cooked the dinner. It fed the cat and walked the dog.
Splat!
But it got hotter and hotter and hotter. It began to fizz and pop.
Pop, pop, pop! Fizz!
Then it washed the dog and dusted the dinner. It cooked the books and fed the floor.
Pop, 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 pop.
It ran into the garden and washed the trees. It dusted the flowers. It dried the shed. Stop!
Stop!
Shouted the children. Granny came running.
Stop! Stop!
She shouted. She pulled string number 6. The machine stopped. Ben and Ellie looked at all the mess.
We're sorry,
they said. But Granny wasn't cross. She had an enormous smile on her face.
Look,
She said.
there's the kitten.
Prrr, said the cat. Boom went the machine.
Boom!